Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm doing a review of the 1961 Chateau D'Yquem. I'm not going to go through a lot of the history of Chateau D'Yquem. I did another video on the 2007 Chateau D'Yquem where I went through the history, so that'll be at the end of this video. This is kind of a new kind of series of videos for me. I'm trying a little bit different where I'm not going to just speak for all 13 minutes of the video. I'm going to put up some pictures and some videos, and at the end we'll do the tasting part with my face in the video. I'm going to do a couple of these. The last couple that I did where the sound wasn't synced correctly, so this time I'm going to try and sync the sound correctly for a couple of videos and then do a poll with subscribers and see which they prefer. The 1961 D'Yquem, I had recently had the 1966 D'Yquem in half bottle, and I think it's a lot better in the full bottle. 1961 wasn't a spectacular year, but from the website, this is how they describe it. They said the year got off to a good start thanks to fine weather. The harvest was very early on September 9th, but botrytis was largely at a standstill due to lack of water. The grapes only represented about 15 barrels of wine that were picked in 3 weeks, and the picking began again in October, but the rest of the crop was irretrievably ruined by 8 days of rain. So this is kind of a vintage that was okay. In the later part of this video, you'll see the bottle, and this is from the website, but when you see it live, it's a little bit darker. So it was an okay bottle. I drank this with one of my subscribers, and he was kind enough to use his asso to open the bottle very expertly. As you can see, I don't actually use an ISO, but it was done very expertly, and the cork came out very nicely. So a pretty decent bottle, but you can see it's a little bit more browner or more amber than what the Chateau D'Yquem in their website looks like. But expertly done by my subscriber, and I was really pleased that it came out in one piece. The bottle looked good, the fill was excellent, so we couldn't really complain. It was really quite a nice experience. You'll see at the end of this video my notes to this, but again, it went as well as possible. This is the bottle, which is quite nice, and as you'll see, it's a little bit browner or more amber than I would expect for a 61. I've seen 61s that are a little bit lighter than this, but in general, the fill was quite good. The cork was together, and quite a good experience. Here is the bottle, and as you can see in the light, it's quite brown. Not to a certain extent where it's going to be undrinkable. The cork is, what you expect from a 1961, but still in shape. But the color of the wine is slightly on the brown side, almost fully oxidized, almost looks like a port or Madeira, but still kind of very drinkable. As you'll see in the upcoming taste note that I have, it was still very pleasant. Let's taste the wine. I will let you know that I had it open last night, and we had it at a restaurant. Quite a good cork, I think. Obviously it's completely drenched through in terms of stained, but that should be expected for that older wine. And we had it with foie gras, which is a classic pairing, and was, I thought, a very nice pairing. And so I can compare and contrast. I bought this at auction with a half bottle of 66. I have 2 bottles of this 61. So it was quite nice last night. And just a couple of comments before I kind of do my tasting notes on this. One is that the 66 vintage, if you look at all the writings on it, should be a better vintage than the 61, but I thought this was a little bit fresher. I would say the shape of this bottle is okay. The cork is okay. It's not bad, but it's not. I would say, when you grade wine, when you're talking about hockey cards and you grade like a 10 is the perfect. Same thing with wines. I wouldn't call this a grade like a 10. I'd say this is probably, in terms of storage and everything, 7, which is pretty decent for an old wine. So pretty decent shape. Could be worse, but I have seen better shape. Fully oxidized, as you can see the color. It's funny because when we had it in the restaurant last night, it was kind of dim lighting, and it looked a lot more amber and looked great actually in the light. And so now in the clear white light, it does look a little bit more oxidized, obviously, and that does have a certain effect on you when you actually see something that's a little bit more oxidized. Yeah, it probably is not as pleasurable as seeing it in a dark light where it's nice and amber. On the nose, you get oxidation, obviously, but you still get lots of fruits. So I get like a butterscotch. I get like plums, a nuttiness, and a kind of like a creme caramel. And that's why it's really, this went great with the foie gras, because foie gras is fatty and it's kind of grilled, and you get that little burn, that charring on the foie gras, and that really matches the charring of this wine and also the sweetness, like that kind of almost caramelized taste and aroma. It's very similar to the foie gras, and that's why it pairs so well. Still, with this wine, it's got a beautiful balance. I would say this is in better condition than the 66 that I had. And I think one of the big things is this is a full bottle. And I would recommend, if you're drinking older wines, that you do try to take advantage of full bottles, or even if you can get a Magnum. Magnums are not that prevalent in the past, but a full bottle I think makes a huge difference in terms of the ageability of the wine. So a half bottle will definitely oxidize or age a lot faster. I feel that this wine, I can't remember exactly on the color, but I think this is slightly more oxidized in the color, but on the taste, it tastes much fresher, as I recall from the 66. Prunes, plums, again, caramelized, almost like a creme caramel type of taste to it, a charred bitterness that really goes well with the foie gras. But really great acidity, really great balance still at this time. So again, this is a delicious wine. Irrespective of the color, it is oxidized, but it's one of these wines that you can really drink a lot of and you won't get tired of. This is really nice. Just to let you know how much I paid at auction for this, I think about $560 Canadian. And I think that's not a bad price, because a current vintage bottle is probably going to run you $400 in Canada or in BC. And this is almost 60 years old. So it's, to me, it's really worth the taste of it. In terms of score, I give this 93 points. It's not at the 95 point level. It's still really, really pleasurable. I think with the 66 that I had, that was feeling a little bit more tired and a little bit more acidic or sour on the aftertaste. This is perfect. There's a lot of fruit still on this wine, not acidic at all, really, really fresh. And I think the comment that my friend and I made was that if you were blinding us on this, don't look at the color. This probably would be more equivalent to an 80s wine, not a 60s wine. So yeah, it's really got that deep creme caramel, creme brulee, you know, the top of a creme brulee when they kind of heat it, that little crust, that's what it tastes like a lot, which is what the old D'Yquem to me tastes like. But on the aftertaste, still very long, lots of honey, and a little bit of apricots. So still a lot of that type of fruit, and maybe a little bit of nuttiness, like a walnut aftertaste to this. But really pleasurable wine. So glad that I had a chance to share it with one of my viewers and subscribers, and in a restaurant like Alouette Bistro in Vancouver that has great French food and like foie gras, and it was just the perfect pairing. So that probably also brought up the elevated the taste, enhanced the taste of this wine. Hope you've enjoyed this tasting. Until next time, happy drinking.